Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today we have some news out of the state of Florida for the 2026 Florida governor's race that shows some very interesting findings in a potential matchup of Casey DeSantis versus U.S. Representative Byron Donalds. This article by the Floridian begins by saying, with the Florida legislature at an impasse for the legislative cycle, as current First Lady Casey DeSantis is thinking about a gubernatorial run in the 2026 midterm elections. A new public opinion poll commissioned by the conservative James Madison Institute shows Ms. DeSantis leading Representative Byron Donalds by 3 percentage points in a hypothetical race between the two. Interestingly enough, of the Democrats polled in the survey, former Democratic Minority Leader Jason Pizzo crushed progressive Miami-Dade County Mayor Danielle Levine Cava by 41 to 15% voter preference margin, while former Republican Representative David Jolly and Gwen Graham both trail with 7 and 5 points, respectively. While Ms. DeSantis is expected to jump into the race shortly after the 2025 legislative session ends, a slugfest of a campaign between her and Trump-endorsed Representative Donalds is also anticipated. But all eyes could now be on independent Senator Jason Pizzo's potential gubernatorial run. Senator Pizzo recently announced that the Democratic Party is dead and promptly switched over to be an independent. Pizzo is not ruled out if he were to join the Republican Party, but there is now suspicions that he could follow the lead of other state Democratic lawmakers who recently jumped off the SS Democratic that has been quickly sinking in the Florida tumultuous political waterways. In a three-way Republican gubernatorial race, all bets could be off with Pizzo in the mix. Donalds will have the power of the Trump endorsement behind him, while Ms. DeSantis will have the support of her husband and dwindling support of the Florida legislature and Tallahassee lobby corps. Both Donalds and DeSantis are raising big campaign cash, but with one stroke of his pen, Pizzo can quickly even the playing field. Moderate Pizzo, who leans conservative on several key issues, will have to contend with his pro-choice position and donations to his former political party. DeSantis will have to contend with the fact that she will be hit from all angles with nepotism allegations that will loom over candidacy and her involvement, if any, over the controversial and shady political moves involving her Hope Florida Foundation. So that's the poll also right here. I'm going to go on to XO because I have it a little bit on the larger screen to look at. This poll shows Casey DeSantis at 27%, Donalds 24%, Lieutenant Governor Nunes, or former Lieutenant Governor Nunes 8%, and former U.S. Representative Matt Gaetz, if he were to run, at 8%. On the Democratic side of things, the aforementioned Pizzo is at 41%, Cava's at 15%, Jolly 7%, and Graham 5%. Before getting into the Republican side of things, it's an interesting move by Pizzo, who is not running or is running as a Democrat in the poll, but no longer a Democrat, running as an independent. It could be kind of a similar move of what Dan Osborne and Greg Orman tried to do, respectively, in Nebraska and Kansas, where maybe running as an independent will give them a better chance at getting crossover support than being a Democrat in a state where Democrats don't have much of a chance at winning. It is also worth noting that once upon a time, I do believe Charlie Crist, the former Republican governor of Florida, did try and do something similar. Or let me make sure on this. 2006, this is when Crist won. He won by 7.1% in 2006. And then in 2010, Rick Scott, the Republican, was able to win. Crist did run for governor in 2014, this time around as a Democrat in 2014. And I believe he ran as an independent in, it was either 2018 or for something in the future as well as an independent. I can't be exactly sure in the race, but that did happen, I believe. As for the 2026 Florida governor's race, all eyes are on Byron Donalds versus Casey DeSantis. This might be the biggest, most messy Republican proxy war between President Trump and between Ron DeSantis, probably even yet. This would be a very big matchup. There are other potential Republicans who could jump in, like Matt Gaetz, Ashton Hayward, and Francis Suarez, but all eyes are really on Donalds versus DeSantis. Donalds already has the endorsement of President Trump and several executive branch officials working in the Trump administration, as well as Republican Florida Senator Rick Scott. DeSantis, who has not yet jumped into the race, obviously has not gotten any endorsements yet, but the second she does, she'll likely have the endorsement of, obviously, her husband, Governor Ron DeSantis, and any close allies of the DeSantises. Hypothetical polling between these two, in addition to the poll we just went over, also had a poll back from Fabrizio Lee & Associates, the Republican pollster aligned with President Trump, and if I'm not mistaken, aligned with Byron Donalds, that shows the race only 4 points inside the margin of error between Donalds and DeSantis, so essentially saying that would be a tied race between the two. A Florida Atlantic poll from back in June of 2024 showed DeSantis with a commanding lead over Donalds. However, Trump has since endorsed Donalds. I'm not sure if that poll holds as much weight as it once did. University of North Florida poll from back in October of 2023 also holds DeSantis over Donalds, but again, same reasoning as before. It's very interesting so far. Even so, Donalds has the endorsement of President Trump now, but even still, in the only poll that accounted that, Donalds' lead is within the margin of error. And this latest poll from James Madison shows DeSantis still leading Byron Donalds, which means this could be really, really interesting for 2026 if DeSantis and Donalds do face off. How much power does Trump's endorsement have in the state of Florida when DeSantis is on the ticket and Governor Ron DeSantis will be endorsing his wife in this race as well? It could get very, very interesting. On the Democratic side of things, David Jolly has formed an exploratory committee, as the article mentioned. Fentrice Driscoll and Chevron Jones have also publicly expressed interest in running, as well as Daniel Levine Cava, Gwen Graham, and Angie Nixon. I believe does the article not mention Pizzo on the Republican side? It does not. As for independents, it is. Okay, under independents, here we go. Malier Dominacci, a writer, has filed paperwork. John Morgan, the lawyer of Morgan & Morgan, and Jason Pizzo, both of which have publicly expressed interest running as independents. As for the predictions, Cook Politico, Inside Elections, and Sadler Crystal Ball all have the race listed as solid Republican, and the hypothetical polling so far shows a generic Republican up 7 points over a generic Democrat from back in October of 2024. So there's essentially been no polling done on this race, but the state of Florida, look, Florida you could really put either in between being safe Republican or likely Republican. That's where it is right now. I have it in likely Republican at this time, mainly just because in 2024, Donald Trump won against Kamala Harris by 13.1%. 2024 is probably going to be a more Republican election environment than 2026 is going to end up being, with it likely being a very good night for the Democrats based on historical precedent. Still, though, I expect Florida to be very, very good for the Republicans. Trump was able to go from 3.4% win in 2020 over Biden up to a 13-point win in 2024 and only a 1.2% win in 2016. So Florida has moved approximately 12% to the Republican direction from 2016 to 2024 just at the presidential level. At the gubernatorial level, don't forget, in 2018, Ron DeSantis narrowly got elected over Democrat Andrew Gillum by just 0.39%, and what ended up being a very, very close election. Then come 2022, Ron DeSantis won by over 19.4% against the former governor Charlie Crist, and a very big blowout election for the Republicans. On the Senate level as well, in 2024, Rick Scott defeated his Democratic opponent by 13 points, even though some polling leading into the final month of the campaign showed this race could potentially be getting a little close. Some Democrats were feeling optimism in this race. Scott ended up winning by about 12.8%. Marco Rubio, when he was senator, he ran for re-election in 2022. He won the state by over 16% of the vote. As for what this means in 2026, I think right now Byron Donalds versus whoever he ends up facing, whether it's the independents or the Democrats, I would have Donalds winning in a likely Republican margin, probably around 14% of the vote right now, margin of victory. If it's Casey DeSantis, I do think the name adds a little bit more weight, and I think DeSantis would end up winning by over 15% in the state of Florida. But Florida is likely going to be going Republican either way in 2026. The question will it be Casey DeSantis or will it be Byron Donalds? If this matchup does happen of DeSantis versus Donalds, this will be the biggest Republican primary of the 2026 cycle, even bigger than Ken Paxton versus John Cornyn in the 2026 Texas Senate race, and will be a big test of President Trump's endorsement versus Ron DeSantis, the DeSantis machine, and DeSantis' wife, Casey DeSantis. So I'm really looking forward to this and covering this race. I think this will be very fascinating if this does end up happening. I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are. Leave a comment below telling me, do you think A, will DeSantis run? And if she does, will it be Casey DeSantis or Byron Donalds winning the 2026 Republican primary in Florida? Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to give the video a like and click subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next video.